Morning, all. All right, so August 3rd, we are 10 weeks away from opening night. 10 weeks away from the next NHL season getting started, and I'm kind of anxious to see how all this turns out, back to normal divisions and all that, right? Yesterday, Ryan Murray signed a 1 year, $2 million contract with the Colorado Avalanche, which in my Twitter feed this morning, now not on my account, but on another account I follow, led to an interesting discussion of whether or not Ristolainen or Murray, which one's a better defenseman. And last time I saw the poll, had Murray ahead by a lot. Ryan Murray is an underrated defenseman, but he also gets injured a lot. So with Ryan Murray, he's very effective defensively. He's got some decent offensive ability there, but again, it's a matter of staying healthy, and it's a matter of being able to get on a roll. If he can stay healthy for Colorado, this is one of those low-key, pretty strong signings by Joe Sakic. So we'll see what happens. But again, one of the more, I think, underrated defensemen in the league. Jordan Kyrou has re-signed with St. Louis, restricted free agent, 2 years. The total is $5.6 million, so the cap hit's $2.8 million. Not bad for Jordan Kyrou, a player who I think is ready to take that next step. He started at the beginning of last season. It really looked like he was ready to blow up, and then it sort of petered out for him. I think he's gonna have that year where it just stays consistently right around a point a game, I would think, for Kyrou. And St. Louis would definitely be very happy to see that happen. Chicago news as well. Stan Bowman updating, and he's got to be getting tired of being asked about Jonathan Toews. And the update is they don't really know. And I think with Toews, I think they're in uncharted territory where he's been off for an entire year with this ailment that he feels like he's getting better from, but we don't know exactly when he's going to be in game shape, when he's going to feel good to go, and how long this is going to go on for. So again, that's a huge storyline for Chicago, because if they get Toews back with other moves they've made, then I'm willing to say, you know what? They could sneak into fourth place. They could get a playoff spot in the West. But without Toews, that hurts. Toews is their leader, and makes a huge difference when he's in the lineup, comparatively speaking, with when he's not. So we'll see what happens, but I'm sure Bowman's getting kind of, like, oh, they're going to ask me about Toews again. Cool. So, yeah, that's the way that works. So the current Stanley Cup odds, and they've changed since the end of the season because, of course, they have. When I see this, I think, I haven't touched my power rankings board since the last time I showed all you wonderful people what it looked like. And yet, all these odds have changed. Am I supposed to be moving the power rankings around too? I'm not yet. I will before the season starts, but not yet. And the favorites are still Colorado. They're 5-1 odds right now for the Stanley Cup. And I know there are people who are going to disagree with that. The interesting thing is, you always see those teams that break through and win a Stanley Cup, but until they do, there's the doubts. You look back 2 years ago to Tampa Bay, and there were a lot of doubts as to whether or not Tampa Bay would ever win a Stanley Cup with that core, and now they've won 2 in a row. So it's one of those things that until Colorado wins, there's going to be those doubters. Tampa Bay 7-1 odds. I don't mind that. Seven on every dollar. Vegas 8-1. Boston 12-1. And then if you're a Canadian hockey fan, you're wondering where the Canadian teams are at. Toronto's got the best odds at 14-1. Montreal 25-1. Edmonton 28-1. Winnipeg 40-1. Calgary 40-1. Vancouver's 50-1 odds. Ottawa 100-1 are the odds. So, yeah, that's not bad. Buffalo and Detroit have the worst odds, or best, depending on how you're looking at it, at 200-1. Seattle, expansion team, brand new, haven't played a game yet. They have 50-1 odds. So they haven't played a game yet, and they have better odds than Ottawa and the same odds as Vancouver. Ta-da! So there you go. And the interesting thing is, I always follow this, even though I don't gamble. I've mentioned that recently. I don't gamble, but I always find it interesting to see where the odds are at, because that tells me what people think in terms of who should be the favorite to win and which team they're kind of writing off. And there are some teams that I think get written off way too easily. But I mean, I get it. Like, to me, it's weird just looking at the Canadian aspect. Montreal having better odds than Edmonton. That, to me, is a leftover effect from the Stanley Cup final. I think if you look at the teams on paper, Edmonton, just with McDavid and Draisaitl, and the fact that Montreal's lost Weber, I would put Edmonton's odds a little bit ahead of them. Winnipeg at 4-1 to me is kind of odd, but again, that's how this works, right? More people are picking Edmonton than picking Winnipeg, and yet the two teams right next to each other, I would probably take Winnipeg out of the two. But, we'll see what happens when the season gets started. These odds change dramatically. So there are people who are going to take Buffalo or Detroit and say, I'll put $5 down on it, this kind of thing. But yeah, it is interesting because there are already some teams that have moved. When the Stanley Cup final ended, Montreal was 18-1 odds. They've dropped to 25-1 with the things that have happened so far in the offseason. Haven't played a game. So it's interesting. Now, this morning as well, going through my feed and The Athletic alerting me to this, Kevin Kurtz, who is... I haven't seen anything from him that's been gossipy, but it's one of those articles that he's published today that I do wonder, like, is it going to be worth the hassle for him? Which is something that I sometimes go through when I'm putting together videos. I'll sometimes see an item in the news and I'll go, yeah, I'm not reporting it. It's going to be a hassle. I'm just going to leave that. I'll just answer in the comments when people bring it up. But Kevin Kurtz is reporting that some Sharks players don't want him back on the team. So why I personally, in that situation, likely wouldn't put together an article on that is because I think that happens on every team. I have a feeling that on every single NHL team, there's that one guy, maybe there's two, that the teammates may not get along very well with them. You have cliques in locker rooms as well. I don't think this is that unusual. Now, what makes it newsworthy, of course, is what's going on right now as it pertains to Kane. But, yeah, the idea that some players may not want Evander Kane back. And it brings out that whole divide. And again, for some reason, he just brings out this reaction from people that is stronger than most other hockey players. I can tell just by from my experience on the channel and from what I see online. Anytime his name is mentioned, you will have this huge divide. He's a very talented player, very good offensive player. He is, obviously one of the best conditioned athletes in the league. But again, there are definitely some detractions, which is why he's moved around the league to this point. I don't see anything in the story, though, to tell me that unless the NHL investigation finds something like egregious that they can take action on, I don't see anything to tell me he won't be in the San Jose lineup and that he won't still be around a point a game. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. But again, it is that time of year where things seem to, things are a little bit slower. So something like this that from day to day, during the regular season, we may be like, okay, so this happened on October 26th that this was reported, and by October 28th, we've moved on to something else. During the offseason, these things can linger a little bit more, a little bit longer, and San Jose will be a team to watch. And I say that because if the general manager, if Doug Wilson believes that they're going to be in the hunt for the playoffs, and if he believes that they can actually have some success in said playoffs, he may very well make moves along those lines. I haven't heard any rumors of Jack Eichel going from Buffalo to San Jose, but to me it's like, you know what, if he thinks that San Jose is close and they can make it work, if he can figure out a $10 million hole somewhere he can dig so that he can get Eichel on that lineup, maybe San Jose. I mean, we've heard a lot about Anaheim and LA. Why not the Sharks too? All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. It does mean a lot. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. 211,000 plus is just it's a mind-blowing number to me. It really is. It's just one of those things where every day I look at my numbers and I'm just humbled by the whole thing. So there you go. Again, let me know your thoughts. And I do look forward to training camps. I look forward to seeing guys coming in on tryouts and earning themselves contracts, and going further through this summer and reporting on everything for all you fine people. So, hey, I will talk to you again soon, and thanks for all your support.